I still have to ask when it comes to the index, even if that's not so much something that you're looking at from a position, your own positioning point of view, as an expert and someone who's observing what's happening in the market right now, do you see any danger and any kind of collateral impact on the broader markets that we may have if there's any shakeup, given some of the uncertainty that we're seeing globally right now?
Certain. First of all, uncertainty has always been there. You tell me one time period
Sure.
over your career or my career, or anybody's career, where you did not have forward-looking uncertainty.
Sure.
And that probably, when you felt there wasn't uncertainty, that's the time when you were struck with maximum uncertainty, quite possibly. Right? Otherwise, in hindsight, the year seems like a smooth ride up. But last year, remember at the end of 2020, there was a lot of uncertainty related to the pandemic and a whole host of other
Yeah.
things. So that uncertainty is always there. So with that in context, which is normal, I would say while we don't do or have top-down allocations, yes, certain segments of the market, particularly the very small and micro cap end of the cycle of the market. And again, at the risk of generalization, there do seem to be some pockets which feel like are getting overheated.
Okay.
But I think that's fairly limited to certain small and micro cap segments of the market. I don't feel that way in, let's say, mid caps in general, or even small caps outside of those few pockets. Don't feel that way, and certainly not in the large cap segment.
Okay. Prashant, what did you feel about the quality of the kind of companies that chose to go to the public markets over the last few months? Not just the tech names, but even across the board. We had massive subscription coming in for new age companies like a Map My India, or others when it came to the pharma and healthcare space. We've got companies coming in or announcing plans even in very beaten down pockets like mediaplexes and aviation, and that's another topic of discussion. But what did you feel about the quality of subscriptions that we saw?
So Abha, by and large, I believe we had a very healthy
Okay.
set of companies. Obviously, there's never 100%. In none of the years we have 100% great companies, but when you compare it over any year in the past,
Yeah.
I would say the mix of companies doing IPO this year would be on average better than the average year. Right? Not saying top of the line in my recollection, but certainly not below par or not below average. Obviously, you can pinpoint one, two, three, or few companies when you have many dozens of companies doing IPO that we might not have liked, but otherwise, uh, in general, the quality of companies, valuations, we can have separate discussion, but in terms of the companies and the business models, they're fairly healthy here, I would say, and I hope we have more of such years.
Okay, so if you had to look back at 21, what would you outline as the one big theme? As someone who's an experienced name in the markets and been watching and seeing some of these trends, over the last few decades, what surprised you? Was it perhaps some of the mega listings that we saw, the tech listings and the kind of valuations? Was it the fact that markets survived all the uncertainty as we just discussed? What to you was the one key outlier?
So I would say, as an outlier along the lines of what you're saying, and you mentioned yourself,
Yeah.
uh, I think the listings of new age companies, new age tech companies, was one of the positive surprises. Um, it it is a major step forward, I think, in the Indian markets, for the Indian markets. This is something that's been going on in the developed markets like US for several decades now, and other emerging markets like China and elsewhere, Korea and other places have happened about a decade ago. And it was about time that Indian markets also opened up for such listings. Not all of them need to be profit making and already at much somewhat mature stage of businesses. It's okay for companies to come in like Nasdaq, which there's a lot of fan following of Nasdaq in India
Yes.
as well as Right? Majority of IPOs are loss-making companies, right? And the FANG, which is the most popular acronym of the year, would last 2 years to 3 years. Majority of those companies were loss-making when they went public, right? So it is um, reflection of a maturing or developing market, maturing not in the negative sense, but in positive sense of a market, which can see some of these companies get listed and get good response. Now, all of them are not going to be, good experience, a great experience, because that's not how
Mm.
equity market is supposed to be in first place. But they're, on the whole, it's healthy for the market.
Well, we're watching out for the big one going forward, and that's going to be LIC. Curious as to, what kind of interest you see if and when that one gets off the block, and also on the government's divestment program. Is that something that excites you or that you're observing, even if not, buying into immediately? Or what's your opinion on the kind of agenda they've outlined?
Certainly, Ava. So would refrain from talking about any specific
Yeah.
IPO we are advising others, but on the whole, I think it's a very, very positive
Mm.
uh, development. What the government has announced. Obviously, the pandemic has slowed things a little bit, but if as and when it gets implemented, it's a very positive development for the Indian market and the Indian economy. Divestments of companies that have been highlighted and strategic divestments and stake sales, they are, I think, long pending items that this government has sought to address, and very keen, ourselves and our clients, most of our clients are foreign investors, very keen to see this evolve